that highlights the work and achievements.
Our celebrations today must be tempered by the recognition, learning on international relations to craft a better world. So let me quote. The new
studies, Madam Chandrika Bandarai Kumartunga to present.
Brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it.
यूरोपीय हंगेरियाවේ පිරිමි මිඩ් වෙල්ඩර්ස්, ටැග් වෙල්ඩර්ස්, පයිප් ෆිටර්ස් සඳහා ඇමරිතු රැසක්. ජොනිකා විදේශ රැකියා කඩවෙත මාතර හොරණ.
I have very little left to say. So I shall be brief. I would like to tell you that as our executive director said, and also the Prime Minister, the BCIS was created with the vision of teaching and disseminating knowledge on international relations and global affairs. Sri Lanka, being a small insular island, realized some time ago that we have to connect with the world, that we have to inform ourselves about what is going on in the rest of the world, of how nations interact, how they formulate their foreign policies, how the big powers and why the big powers formulate certain foreign policies, how we should formulate ours. We have to know lots of things about the world, not simply news about what is going on in the world, the wars, the peace processes, the conflict resolutions, the developments, the economic progress, social, cultural progress, technological process, but also how nations interact with each other, especially since the formation of formal international organizations at the beginning of the 20th century. The world created international organizations mainly, to my understanding, for the sake of maintaining good relations between nations in the world, maintaining peace, and resolving possible conflicts or conflicts that arise, so that nations can progress peacefully towards their visions of development, of achieving greater progress economically, socially, culturally, and in every other way. Today, we stand at the threshold of a very dangerous chapter for the world. All the norms that were formulated, accepted, operated since the creation of first the Society of Nations and then the United Nations organization, the regional organizations, their related sub-organizations and all that. I would say the most essential concept, principle on which they function is to guarantee peace in the world. After many years of very destructive wars in the centuries before. Today, having achieved much, we stand on the threshold of, I don't know what, I fear to think. Some nations, even important, powerful ones, kicking all accepted norms of coexistence, of cooperation between nations, completely out of sight and acting in accordance with their narrow personal national interest, in their national interests. And the international organizations presently seem a bit powerless to handle this. nations are beginning to question whether the UN is worth its while. Young people are asking these questions. So I think all of us, all of you here who obviously have an interest in international affairs and diplomacy and the whole country, our entire nation, will have to think seriously, learn, study international relations, perhaps with a different view to what we have done up to now. It is not just learning the history of international relations, the history of wars, and of course how the international organizations function, but the deeper reasons in a fast changing world, in a world which is now functioning from one person's office, perhaps it can function, through social media, through the internet, through artificial intelligence. How do we handle relations between countries? How do we guarantee the respect of one nation for another's sovereignty, their freedoms? How do we guarantee within one nation the respect of freedom and fundamental rights of the citizens of that nation by their governments? We in Sri Lanka have had bad, very, very painful experience of certain periods of governance where those who governed us threw all those accepted norms out of the window. Our people have spoken loud and strongly. First, publicly through the Aragalaya, and now through two successive elections. They have clearly stated that they want a massive change, a radical change. A radical change was the word that was used. I don't know how many of us understand it. Turning upside down the systems of government we have had in this country for several decades. Completely changing the type of leaders we deign to call our leaders. Their ethics, their knowledge, their education. We have had for a long time parliaments full of people who had not even passed their O-levels. The majority of them had not even passed their O-levels. So, what kind of knowledge could we have expected from them? But I would hasten to add that only education is also not enough to govern a country with all the problems and the challenges we face. We need goodwill, we need honesty, absolute honesty, and experience. Experienced people to plan and implement government policies. So it is a big job. When you go out of here today, very proudly, all of you and your parents and your families, friends, that you have got a diploma for yourself, a higher education diploma. We are very happy for you. But please remember, as our guest of honor and our Prime Minister also said, you have much more responsibility than just looking for a job to practice what you have learned and of course to be able to get yourself an income. Please remember that all of you have a very unusual, unique kind of responsibility that we have not known before in this country, to put this country back on its feet. To take it on the journey that the majority of our people have demanded from the new government they have voted, but also from all of us. We cannot expect a government with little experience, if I may say so, to do it all by themselves. Every one of you have the responsibility to ensure that your governments act as they should and as you wish them to. The people's voice must be heard, not only just in an Aragalaya, but there must be direct people's participation. In the case of those who have studied and qualified in international relations in that field, others in their own fields, the economy, the society. Historians have a very important role to play today. Analyze what has happened and see what we can do to stop such things happening in the future. Culture, to promote ethics. And of course, I don't know what kind of study is required. We have some of the most erudite academics and friends here on the stage with us. What is required to ensure and guarantee that human beings, and especially those who take on the responsibilities of governing, be and continue to be honest and ethical leaders. You tell me how that can be done. But I would like to leave one small thought with you. A thought that I have been throwing around quite a bit. That in a country like ours, which has undergone massive destruction due to bad governance, I would say mainly due to bad governance, and nothing else. I can go into that in detail, but I won't take your time today. To ensure that other governments don't continue like that, just electing a group of people who we think are different to those who were there before is not at all enough. To ensure that they govern as we want and everybody else governs who comes after that. The people must play an active role in government, not just voting for a government, bringing them into power, and then going off and doing your own thing for 5 years, and then coming back and voting whoever you voted back out, or you not in, or voting them back, whatever. We have to participate consistently in the process of government, and there are ways of doing it. We have suggestions to make, I'm not going to talk about it now, how the people could, even without becoming politicians, without contesting elections, the leaders of society, academics, professionals, leaders of the private sector, the non-governmental organizations, how they could, professionals, I said that, how they could actively participate, question the government, participate in policy making, monitor their performance, and point a finger when something wrong happens. So that we don't have to wait for 5 years, you can change things constantly. I think that is the only way this country, given the point to which we have arrived, could change radically the systems of government. I shall leave you with that thought, and once again, I would like to congratulate the management of BCIS, led by its executive director, our boards of management and academic affairs, for the immense lot of dedication and work they have put into making the BCIS, bringing it back to its feet once again, and bringing it closer to achieving its former vision, and for all that you have done to make this convocation a success. Even though the Prime Minister is not here at this moment, I would like to present my personal gratitude to her for accepting to come today to grace this occasion, and for the valuable thoughts she has placed before us. And to all of you, I wish you a very bright future, and hope that you will become active leaders of a better Sri Lanka.